So guys, I've got the Honda NX500 back from the dealership. It's actually been in for about a week. Not that they needed it for a week, but I had other things to do. If you've been watching the previous videos on the issues relating to the emissions light coming on the Honda NX500, take a look at the other videos if you haven't. My first problem occurred about 1500 miles ago when the exhaust emissions light came on and didn't switch off. Got it into the dealers, they rebooted it and put it straight back out to me. I managed to ride another 1,000 miles before the light came back on again. So it went straight back into the dealership within a couple of days. So this is, I wouldn't say a widespread problem, but it is a problem that's occurring on other people's bikes, particularly the Honda NX500. Although from some of the comments I'm getting from you, it's occurring on other bikes, even the Triumph, the new Triumph 400, a Moto Guzzi, and one or two other bikes as well. Mostly new bikes, mostly, but not exclusively, with aftermarket exhausts. So, rebooted the first time. What have they actually done the second time? Well, firstly, I've got to say that the Honda NX500 is running extremely well. Even with the engine management light on, the bike was running sweetly. And indeed, if you've seen videos of my previous Honda CB500X, for which I was very, very happy, excellent bike, great fuel economy, this has taken that to the next level. The changes aren't huge changes, they're just evolved changes. Little tweaks, and that's been the case with the Honda CB500X stroke NX500, because fundamentally it's the same bike throughout its whole life. Little tweaks, little changes as it went along, improving all the time, and seriously, this is an improvement on the last of the CB500Xs. So, what happened this time? Well, more or less they did the same thing, came up with a fault code which showed a faulty O2 sensor, and I'll show you that in a minute, the O2 sensor. Last time it just got rebooted, 1,000 miles later it came back on. Before I go into what they've actually done, let me show you where the O2 sensor is and the aftermarket exhaust I've got on this bike. So on this bike there seem to be two sensors, one here at the front just after the head pipes and one towards the rear just there before it gets to the aftermarket exhaust. So the aftermarket exhaust is just a slip-on that attaches into the existing pipework that comes from the bike. And on this bike I've got the Scorpion exhaust, aftermarket exhaust. This exhaust is, I think, under half the weight of the OEM Honda one, and probably about half the bulk, half the size, physical size of the OEM exhaust. Now, in the previous videos, if you've seen them, and through a lot of the comments, there seemed to be a commonality between the bike's emission light coming on and the fact that the bike has an aftermarket exhaust. And from some of the comments I got previously, other people are having the same issue. One of them, Mr. Fish, I've been in correspondence with, because his light had come on a couple of times. He'd had it booked in for an O2 sensor to be replaced, and then suddenly the light cleared on the second occasion because he was just using it. I haven't had a follow-up on that, but that's only around about a week ago. As mentioned, my light came on, the bike went in, got rebooted. 1,000 miles later, which was a month later, the light came back on again, and it went straight back into the dealers within a few days actually of the light coming on. Now, the dealers don't think the aftermarket exhaust should be causing the problem. You have to suspect that it might be because other people are having the same issue with aftermarket exhausts and varying aftermarket exhausts. But the dealership just don't think it's the aftermarket exhaust because it's just a slip-on. It just goes onto the back of the bike. It's actually physically after the two sensors in line of the exhaust gases coming out. So why, and I think I'm starting to believe this, that why on earth would it be the aftermarket slip-on exhaust that's causing the problem? So where are we at this time? Well, the first time it went in, it came up with a fault code that wasn't on the database, so we were there, and I were at a bit of a loss. Being a new model, clearly Honda hadn't quite updated their systems, so the fault code didn't show. On this occasion, the fault code did show a fault with the O2 sensor. And as a result of that, they ordered a new O2 sensor and have replaced that O2 sensor on the bike. Just so that you can see exactly what they've done, this is the bag that came. This was the new sensor. That's its details. And this is the actual physical sensor that came off the bike. So basically, it's a cable that's plugged into the bike somewhere, I don't know where, plugged in somewhere, and then it has this sensor that effectively screws into and bolts to the exhaust. And the one that's actually replaced, the O2 sensor that's replaced, is the rear one that I've just shown you. But I'll show you again. So, aftermarket exhaust, connecting pipe, original OEM Honda exhaust pipe. And that there, if you can see it, I'm not going to touch it because the engine's just been switched off. That is the sensor that they've replaced. So there you are. There's these lights, ignore these lights, that's neutral. Those two, traction control and ABS, those lights go out as soon as you move off. The offending light is up here, somewhere around about there, and it's not on this bike now. Now the bike has done 3,167 miles, so it was changed at about 3,100, and prior to that it was rebooted at 2,000. Whilst we're here, you might as well have a nice listen to the exhaust. And that's with the baffle in. I never take the baffles out, but it's nice, nice fruity sound. And to be honest, the standard exhaust sounds really good. This sounds a little bit better, but it's not about the sound. For me, it's just purely about the bulk of the original exhaust and the weight of it. Mostly the bulk, actually. Although I guess if I shed another stone in weight, it wouldn't really matter, would it? In actually speaking to the dealership about that O2 sensor replacement, in some respects, even though it came up with the fault code for that sensor, and that is a new sensor that's now been put on, I just have this slight feeling we might not have seen the last of that engine management light coming on. I hope we have, but maybe not. So what's the plan now? Well, the plan now is just put some miles on the bike, and over the next month, see how we go. It's going to be possibly still a bit of trial and error on this, and obviously giving updates is all dependent on what happens with the bike. I think the best thing that you could do if you follow the channel, or you specifically are interested in the issues relating to the Honda NX500 and the engine management light coming on for the exhaust emissions, the best thing you could do is subscribe. It helps me anyway if you subscribe. And also click the notifications. And if you click the notifications, at least if it's another 2 or 3 months and I give an update and there's a further problem, or there's no problem, at least you'll know. So thanks for watching the video. Not the most exciting videos, but very informative, especially if you have or are going to buy a Honda NX500. Don't let this put you off buying one. These are superb bikes. Despite the light coming on, there is no problem with the running of the bikes. I'm hoping we've sorted it out with what's been done, but if not, we will take further measures further down the road. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully it's all sorted.